Good morning. Bob Maguire, when he was speaking at the beginning of the meeting, talked about identifying live issues, and I'm here to give you a bit of a presentation on an issue that is certainly live. There was an employee appeal tribunal. A guy took it called, his surname was Wilshire, and it was against Dudley Metropolitan Council, and that established that an individual's average pay should be paid when they take leave. It also established that that only applies to the first 20 days of leave each year, and that it could be backdated for a maximum of 2 years. But that part of it isn't quite as simple as it seems, because if there's a 3-month gap between periods of leave, it then stops and it wouldn't go back a full 2 years. And this is why in some of the settlements that we've found out that they've gone back various lengths of time. The average pay, it doesn't depend upon what grade you are, it doesn't depend whether you're full-time or part-time. It applies to everybody who's doing additional hours in the 12 weeks before they go on leave. So whatever the average is of your 12 weeks pay prior to you going on leave, you should receive for the first 20 days from April each year. The 3 words that were part of the Employment Appeal Tribunal and that keep reoccurring are that it's got to be based on permanency, regularity and availability. Well, what's happened is that talks initially were ongoing. They went on for around about a year between the union and the business, and they concluded because there was a little bit of an impasse, to put things mildly, and both parties agreed to go away and review their respective legal positions. Now, the union used a guy called Ivan Walker. Royal Mail had a brief called Richard Stowell, who met with Ivan to go through the legal position. And what they found was that actually, when you got the 2 solicitors in the room, there wasn't any difference in their interpretations about the legal position. But having said that, Royal Mail continued to drag their feet. And one of the reasons they were keen to get ongoing dialogue and keep it going without reaching a decision was because once you reached sort of October, November, most people had taken their first 20 days of leave, and as a result, there wasn't a pressure point on the business. What we agreed to do through the postal executive of the union was to review our position and start putting pressure on the business. Now, the first position that we took in order to kickstart this at the beginning of the year was that we wanted to get a case from each area of the country that we could put forward to see how Royal Mail would react. And just on the back of that, and on the back of the fact that we communicated that out to branches, Royal Mail contacted us urgently and said they wanted to get back into dialogue. But having said that, we were aware, with April approaching, that everybody would again be taking their first 20 days of leave, and as a result, it was important to maximise the pressure on Royal Mail. Phase 2 was, because of the sheer volume of cases that were going to come forward, we got that work put down to a branch level, and we asked branches to advertise and to maximise the number of claims that went through ACAS. And just in relation to this point, this involves any individual, as soon as they've taken leave, they submit a grievance, and in line with that, they complete the online ACAS early conciliation form. As a result of that, we've had, in the last 6 months, we've had hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of settlements from the company for the individuals that have taken 5 minutes to complete the ACAS early conciliation form. There's some recognition due for some of the branches in this room. When we look at the 3 branches, Branch A, they've had 292 cases put forward, 292 members. These figures are up to the end of August, by the way, so they are slightly out of date. 73 cases settled, a total of £26,216, with an average settlement of £359.12. Branch B, 169 cases, 52 settled, a total of £17,949, average settlement of £345. Branch C, 52 52 cases, 19 settled, total of £5.5 grand, an average settlement of £289.47. Individuals that have taken 5 minutes to complete the early conciliation forms online, in the vast majority of cases, have had some tremendous payouts. And I've got to say that the branch secretaries in the room that have pushed that, it's been a fantastic effort, but we need to keep the pressure on. The biggest settlement that I'm aware of is somebody who's had £2,290. The smallest settlement, ACAS contacted me and they said Royal Mail are proposing to settle this with an offer of £0. So I said, can you tell me what that's based on? They said, well, it's £0 because the person hasn't actually done any overtime at all. So I contacted the individual and I said, got this claim of £0 because Royal Mail are claiming you haven't done any overtime at all over the past 6 months, over the past 12 weeks. That person said, yeah, why would I do overtime? I've never done overtime. But they've still gone online and filled out the application thinking that they were going to get something. But in all seriousness, I mean, if you look at the averages there's some serious money that's been paid out just because people have been willing to put in the effort and again, being encouraged by branches. A judge in this part of the country, actually, a tribunal judge called Robertson, he identified that the tribunals, particularly in the North East, were struggling to keep up with the number of cases that have been put forward. And it's not surprising it came from the North East because actually there's been more cases in the North East than anywhere else in the country that have been put forward by individuals. But on the back of that, they invited the Union and Royal Mail to put in a submission about how they saw the cases going forward, just because of the workload and the fact that tribunals at the moment are taking, in some cases, around about 6 months to be held. And the Union and Royal Mail put in a submission. The result was that all tribunals from now on are going to be stayed. They're going to be put on hold, and there's going to be a case management conference at the beginning of 2020 in Bristol, where there will be a decision on how all of these tribunals are taken forward. But from the union point of view, we're obviously looking to highlight a number of test cases within that we can then take forward on behalf of everyone else. We're also at the moment taking legal advice around part-timers because, holiday pay aside, we believe that there is the potential, particularly for part-timers, to take Royal Mail to court for discrimination. And the reason for that is that we believe that part-timers are getting treated differently when up to full-time conditioned hours of 38 when they go on leave. And if we get a settlement just based on the first 20 days, there's going to be some part-timers that will still, in our view, be treated differently if they've got more than 20 days leave, they've got longer service. So we're also looking into that angle. Royal Mail have decided that they're not going to make any more offers of settlement. Now, I think that's a little bit bizarre because I cannot see for the life of me how, when Royal Mail go to a tribunal, they're going to be able to argue that they don't pay holiday pay or average pay on leave for the first 20 days of leave for everybody when they've made all these settlements. In my view, looking at it simply, I would say that any judge in the land is going to say, well, actually, you've already set the precedent by making the offers. So I think at the moment they're in a little bit of a bizarre position. But the other interesting thing is that Royal Mail have agreed to meet us again on the 6th of November. Myself and fellow Postal Executive Member Bobby Weatherall, we're going to be pursuing this. Members still haven't been paid more than 21 days after the legal settlement has been signed. Members or their representatives to contact ACAS, because what we can then do if Royal Mail continue to withhold money is we can start a separate legal process. And actually, if delays go on, for each case there's a fine, I think it's £5,000 that can be put against the business if they try and withhold money. keep doing what you've been doing so far. I know it's been a hell of a lot of work, and to tell you the truth, it ends up to an extent taking your life over, but we want you to carry on doing what you're doing. Encourage people to go through ACAS. Anyone that does that will not get an offer, but they will be issued a certificate and then go to Tribunal so that we can maximise the pressure on Royal Mail ahead of the case management hearing in the new year, and hopefully then bring this to a successful conclusion that rewards all of our members in monetary terms as they should be. Thanks very much.